Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with the Battle Report. So these next series of reports are all from BattleCry 2017. Now BattleCry is a brand new tournament. I think the plan is to start having it every year. It's in Baltimore, Maryland, run by Chris Mintz, who is the captain of the US ETC team. I tell you, I thought it was a fantastic tournament. Really, really well done. Really, some things were different than what we have historically been doing in the Mid-Atlantic, and it was really refreshing in a lot of ways. So one, it's a 4,500 point tournament, which is what the game is balanced for. And he gave, instead of 2.5 hours per game, he allowed 2 hours and 45 minutes. And that extra 15 minutes per game was one of the things that I noticed. Just everybody finished every game, every round, and it was just so much less pressure off. It was really, really nice. We're playing the game right out of the book, including the scoring system and the scenario objectives. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing these series of games. So my first game is against Waldorf from Wargaming from the Balcony. This is Gene Phelps. There he is. Gene wins best sportsman at almost every GT. I swear over the last couple of years. He's a great guy. I consider him a good friend. He's a good player, playing Orcs and Goblins, and we had each other's lists ahead of time, so we had time, and we knew we were going to be playing each other, so we had time to look at each other's lists and decide what we were going to do about it. Going into the tournament, I do have some explicit goals in mind. This is what I'm thinking of as I'm going into this game. Number one, I'm playing a Beast Herds army that has relatively little shooting, and therefore, it's a close combat army. And a lot of times I really hurt myself because I'm too aggressive. I throw my stuff up there because I want to get into combat as quickly as possible, but being too aggressive about it means my opponent a lot of times is able to redirect and then cause me a lot of problems because I don't have space to move. So I'm telling myself, let's just be patient. The game's 6 turns, it'll be okay. Number two, pay attention to scenario objectives. The games can only be won or lost at a score of 17-3, and then there's a 3-point plus or minus based on scenario objectives. So that it's a huge, huge thing. I'm telling myself, don't be a whiny. I try not to swear on my channel, but don't be whiny about dice rolls, about opponents' lists I don't like, or anything like that. It's just, yeah, I'm trying to get better about that. One of the ways I have fun in this game is complaining about dice rolls, but I don't mind being that way if I'm having fun and laughing about it and doing whatever. So, but I'm just telling myself, like, let's just make sure we're having fun with it and we're not actually complaining because I have in the past done that, and I'm really, really trying hard not to be that way. And I tell myself, have fun in the tournament. I'm also kind of telling myself, I always have a tacit goal to be in the top few in the tournament. And so I'm telling myself, look, even if you suffer a big loss, just be patient and come back afterwards. You still, in a tournament of this size, which is about 30 people, you can suffer a big loss and still do really well in the tournament. So these are things going on in my head. So let's see. My opponent won the deployment side. So I decided just to plop everything down and then make him go first. Now I have Dark Rain. He has a lot of shooting. The list is in the description. But turn one, he's not going to shoot a whole lot. I think in hindsight that's just a real mistake because, I think it'd be better for me to go first because. Well, let me take that back. I had to deploy, and I didn't know how he was going to deploy, and that may have changed my mind because I see how he did it, and he obviously he took a lot of his heavy hitters and he put them so that they couldn't do any damage to me anytime soon, just making sure I couldn't ambush behind his lines. And knowing that, I don't want to ambush on turn one. I want to ambush on turn 2 or 3. Let's keep those guys back there for a while. But of course, I didn't know that before deployment. But then again, I think most players. If they've played against ambushers, know to do something like that. Anyway, so he's got some of these boar riders on the hill. He's got these two little characters on the I think they're on the Nasher Dashers. I think is what they're called. It's got one of him tucked back there at the end. Some spiders, a gargantula. He's got 2 units of orcs with bows and spears. So they're kind of dual purpose. I mean, that's just a lot of arrows in the air. They're not particularly accurate, but you put enough out there and they can do some harm. But then if you want to get in combat with them, the spears also can help out. He's got his BSB. He's got a Lord level character on a Wyvern, and then he's got his general on a boar. So he's investing in some fighty characters, some more bow riders to the left, another Gargantula, and then another character. So he's very symmetrical in his list and his deployment. And then he scouted. I wonder if he scouted and vanguarded. Anyway, so he's got some spiders over here. I've got a Razortusk in the woods. I've got a Gortach. I think I was a little too concerned when I initially deployed about him getting behind lines, but knowing that he was going to scout and then I don't know if he vanguarded, but certainly go first and march. It's really hard to keep him from getting behind your lines. And we don't have shooting that can be really frustrating because he can just sit back there and just shoot at you and stay safe and then be available to redirect later. But even with what I did, with him going first, I mean, there's just nothing I could. I don't say there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I did that really could keep these guys from popping behind my lines. There's a Gortach, 8 Minotaurs. They've got the Swift Stride banner. 8 Feral Hounds, some Longhorns. Got 2 characters, my general and my BSB. Another Gortach, another Razortusk Chariot, and more Feral Hounds on the left. I have no idea what I'm doing with those ones on the left. I like the idea of having them available to redirect later on, but yeah, I just they're kind of just unwieldy, especially when I'm stupid and put them 8 wide. So, Orcs and Goblins go first. I think he doesn't move at all because the reason he deployed the way he did was so that I couldn't ambush behind him, so why move? These guys get out of my line of sight. And again, if I just measured things closer, I could have just angled my Gortach more. Whatever. So he shoots at me and doesn't do anything, but he's right there. We go to Beastards turn 1. I move my Minotaurs all the way up so they're behind a wall, so at least they're -1 to hit from shooting, but there's still just so many shots that potentially could be thrown at them. I take my General's unit up quite a bit. The Gortach, he was hiding behind that hill, so he comes over pretty much as much as he can, and I just turn him around to face the spiders because why not? I don't need him charging anything next turn, so he's in just as good a place as he would be otherwise. And my other Gortach, I move up, as you can see, and my Razortusk Chariot, I move up, and it's kind of the same thing. I move it up, and then I just turn it to face the spiders, because I didn't need them facing forward. Now, both my ambushing units, I figured if I pop them up behind my opponent's lines, they're not going to do anything. If I pop them up even on the flanks, his Gargantulas are facing that way, and these guys, I'll just throw the points away. So I thought, I'll just pop them up, and they'll shoot at the spider, and then just turn them towards the middle of the board, because we're playing hold your ground, I think, but it's where you need a scoring unit, the most scoring units within 6 inches of the middle of the board by the end of the game. So I'm like, I don't really have a great place to put these guys. I don't have a use for them necessarily, but if they can go up and sit at the middle of the table, that puts a lot of pressure on my opponent. He's got to get past my Minotaurs, past my Longhorns, and then get to the middle with more than at least 2 scoring units. So in the meantime, they can shoot at these guys and actually, help a brother out. So the first unit shoots, they kill 4, they fail to panic, and they run through my other unit. I think I killed only 2. He ran through my unit, failed 2 dangerous terrain tests. Now he's rallying on a 3 and is probably going to run off the board. So that worked well enough. Until we go to his turn, and he rallies on Snake Eyes. Again, I'm not worried about it because I could just turn these guys around and shoot at him. But I'm like, really? Really? So we go to the rest of his movement, and now he doesn't have to worry about my ambusher, so he's starting to bring his things around. Still not real aggressively, though. His general BSB are still hanging out behind his lines. I can't see it in this picture, but I want to say his Wyvern moved closer to the Gargantula on the right. The guy in the Wyvern really scares me. He's got that axe of the Aporcalypse or whatever, but it's like plus D3 attacks, plus D3 strength, and he's already +1 strength on the first round of combat. I mean, the guy's just brutal. Anyway, overall it looks like that. He does relatively little shooting at my Minotaurs. Now again, I have... Oh wait, Dark Rain is gone. I have Clouded Eye Totem up, so these guys have a hard target on them. I think that Gargantula, the spiders, shot at these guys and I think that's it. But he still did 2 wounds, which I thought was pretty good on his part. And I think both units of orcs shot at this unit and only killed 6. And that's where I was thinking that I did pretty. I got pretty lucky there, because that's a lot of arrows in the air. And that's a little bit worrisome because if he gets that again, this unit's going to get combat ineffective pretty quickly. Okay, so Beast Herd's turn 2. So he's redirecting my Minotaurs. I don't want to charge in there, overrun, and get charged in the flank by a Gargantula. Oh, if you look at the top middle, I was incorrect about his fighty character on the Wyvern. He's holding all those 3 characters just back behind his lines. I think he wants me to engage his orcs and get stuck in combat and then do a bunch of counter charges. He's got these Gargantulas, along the flank. In big news, if you look on the left, my Razortusk Chariot charged the flank of that Gargantula. He's sitting there in the ruins. I was able to clip him without having to go through the ruins. And I think what's going to happen here, unless he gets really lucky with his Venom Surge attack, he's got a hit with that, hit on a 4, wound on a 4, and then strength 5. I'd have a 6 up armor save. And then he has to hold. If he gets that one through, I'm in trouble. But otherwise, I'm going to win combat, and he's far away from the general and leadership and BSB. So he's stubborn, but like stubborn 6. So I'm thinking, I think I'm going to beat this guy in combat, and break him, and probably run him down, or at least have a decent chance of running him down. So I thought that was a good enough opportunity to take. Worst case scenario, if that doesn't happen, if I can just take some wounds off of him, that might really make a difference later on in the game. I really like what my Gortach is in the middle. Poised just to charge a bunch of stuff, and the Gortachs, of course, don't play around. These guys turn around to shoot at that spider. This is in the bottom left corner. There's the charge, and that's funny. I mean, I'm actually kind of touching that base. This looks like I'm like 6 inches away or something. Kind of a funny optical illusion. We go to the shooting phase, and the spider's dead. So I'm happy with that. I don't know what to do with this unit now, to be honest. I mean, I think I'm just going to kind of turn him towards the middle of the table and slowly walk up. There's not a whole lot in combat that these guys are going to help me with. They would do okay against the orcs, but they never were going to get there. And everything else he has, except maybe his boar riders, I think they would do okay. Everything else he has would just tear these guys up. So we go to the combat. In magic phase, I get Blooded Horn Totem off on this thing. I was actually just trying to burn my opponent's dice. There were other spells I wanted, but he saw what I was doing and he let this spell through. But that's still pretty sweet. That's an extra strength 6 attack, 2 extra strength 6 attacks, and an extra strength 4 attack. I ended up doing 5 wounds to this guy, which I thought was pretty lucky. I think I did pretty well there. And he only did 1 wound back. I won combat by a bunch. He was stubborn 6, and he nailed it. It's like, oh, darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. But that's okay. This guy's he's down to 3 wounds left. Again, as long as he doesn't hit me with his Venom Surge, I think I've got a real good chance of maybe killing him with just his Chariot. And that would just be, because I've got another round of combat with his Blooded Horn Totem up. And, that would just be great. So I think this is a win no matter what. And if nothing else, his Gargantula is not charging anything this turn. And whenever he does charge, he's down to only a few wounds left. All right, so we go to Orcs and Goblins turn 3. Now's when he takes his Wyvern guy and kind of starts floating around on my right side, looking for flanks. He's holding back with his Gargantula. He takes his spiders, and he's redirecting my Minotaurs and my Gortach. I'm actually kind of okay with that. My plan right at the moment is to take that Chariot and just charge the spiders. Again, I'm trying to be patient. I don't like sitting here getting shot at so much, but at the same time, I would rather be patient, lose a few more wounds, and not get caught in a bad combat with a bunch of counter charges there. So I have 3 totems up. And I think I made it, well, anyway, I put the Clouded Eye totem on my Longhorns, and I think it's the charge range buff, the Blackwing totem on my Gortach. So he's got just a really super far charge range, and his general's right in front of me. Like, I can charge that general and have a real good chance of killing that guy. And he's got a lot of shoot. I should have thought about that and put the Clouded Eye totem on the Gortach, because it's obvious. Well, I don't know. when I put him there, his general wasn't sitting right in front of me. So anyway, we go to the shooting phase, and his his unit on the left just goes to town on my Gortach. I want to say, I mean, I don't know where he got the first two wounds, but both units of orcs did not shoot at the sky. I think it like the spider riders did, maybe his gargantula, and the unit on the left. And the unit on the left just rolled out of their tater holes on this guy, rolling sixes like it's nothing, and just kills him. That was really disappointing because he was in a really, really good position. Now, by the way, I said that I was going to charge his general, but maybe his spider riders redirecting me. Anyway, so his other horde opens up on this guy and only does one. So that was probably slightly under average. I wish those would have evened out a little bit. That would have been really helpful. Go to combat, and he gets the Venom Surge off on and kills my chariot before I even get to swing. So I can't complain too much about that. Again, I think it was still a win for me. I'm still okay with what happened there. So we go to Beast Herds turn 3, and I'm thinking, all right, now's time. You know, I've been patient, but now we just need to do something. I don't charge with my Minotaurs because the Minotaurs is one unit that cannot afford a flank charge, and he's got a Gargantula and the Wyvern guy, and he hasn't called his wall yet. And if they charge with Spider Riders, the Minotaurs can be in trouble. So I do charge a Gortach in there because the Gortach, I think, can handle some flank charges. And I charge the Chariot. Charge the Longhorn unit into these guys. I'm a little bit worried about. I know it's going to take time to whittle him down, and he's going to get some wounds off on me, and that's he's winning that battle in terms of points. And then if I get flank charged, I'm really in trouble. And let's see, there's that. And after combat, yeah, so he actually only did a few to me. I did quite a bit to him. He was stubborn and he stuck. No surprises there. So then I reformed, and the most important thing I did is I swapped my general and my BSB because his Gargantua on the left can charge, and if he does charge, I want him hitting my general. My general will swing first, and he has 4 attacks rerolling to hit, strength 6. And the Gargantua only has 3 wounds left. I'm not likely to kill him, but I have a chance of killing him. And if we stick around more than one round of combat, then I think I can kill him in 2 rounds of combat. And also the reform, we made sure that we were out of line of sight of his general. And over here, yeah, I was actually hoping to for my Gortach to be able to swing to try to get that wound back, but through impact hits, we just killed the spiders. Gortach had to overrun. My chariot just stayed where it was, and everything looks like that. And I have the Blackwing Totem up on my Gortach, so he's actually initiative 6. So what I'm thinking is this general can easily charge my Gortach if he wants to, but I'm going to swing first, and that's just a dicey call. I mean, his general's fairly well protected with, I think, a 1-up, 4-up. But 7 attacks, probably rerolling to hit, strength 6, and if I roll a 6, he's doing D3 wounds. So I'm thinking it's gonna be. I don't know if I would charge my general into that guy. So let's see what he does. We go to Orcs Goblins turn 4. He charges the orange Gargantula into my general's unit, which is probably what I would have done too. But he knows he's taking a chance. My general might kill him. Probably not. Odds are I don't kill him, and that spider can really, really whittle my unit down, and that hurts. He charges a general into my Gortach, and then he charges his other Gargantula into that Gortach. I think that's a good call. I think if he does just 1, I get to swing first, and I'd probably do really well. If you do 2, at least 1 and probably both are going to be able to do just a lot of harm. So the question for me is, do I want to try to which one do I go after? His Boar Riders on the hill come up and partially redirect my Minotaurs. They can't really redirect very much. But his guy on the Wyvern, I like how he's playing this guy. He's being very, very patient with him. Now he's on my far right flank. There's nothing I can do about that guy. He's going to get a flanker rear on my Minotaurs. And there's not a whole lot I can do unless I just want to sit there with the Minotaurs all game. Let's see. In addition to the Gargantula on the top left, he charged his little characters and the Nasher Dasher into that unit as well. So I think I kill a champion. Either he or she did a challenge with that dude and I accepted my BSB, or he didn't and he doesn't have a champion. So I issued a challenge with my BSB to get tied in with that guy. That's a little dicey because that guy has a lot of high strength attacks, but my BSB's toughness 6 and has a 4-up regen. I think he can probably withstand it. And I don't want that guy picking on my general because I want my general to pick on that Gargantula. And if that guy picks on my general and then the Gargantula picks on my general, he's going to kill him. Alternatively, he may have thrown everything into in the unit just to try to kill everybody, which is actually not a bad idea either. So there's that. That's scary, but that can go either way. And yeah, there's that. And after combat. Oh wait, no. This is shooting. He kills a few Minotaurs, not enough to worry too much about. And after combat, it looks like this. So I decided to go after the Gargantula, and I was able to do 5 wounds on him. I think it was really unlikely that I was going to kill that guy. So by going after him, my opponent gets all of his attacks on my Gortach. The Gargantula, the Venom Surge hit him, and that did, whatever it was, 3 wounds, and then yeah, he just got a few more. Again, it's a tough call. I could go after the general and would have had a chance to kill him, and that would have saved some attacks coming back at me. But it's tough, man. That Gargantula with 8 wounds, part of me is just like, if I ever can get it whittled down a few wounds, that really just makes it more manageable. If you look on the left, we get the challenge, and my BSB takes 1 wound. I don't know if I did a wound to him or not. My general has 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, wounding on 4s, and 3 of the 4 go through. So I rolled above average there and killed the Gargantula before it did any harm to my unit. He does a few more wounds to my unit. I do more wounds to him. I think he's still steadfast. Everybody sticks. And not ideal. I would love to break these guys on my opponent's turn so that I can have my choice of like pivoting and whatever. Now this guy in the Nasher Dasher was not steadfast, but I don't know how much I won by. But regardless, obviously he stuck. And there's leadership and reroll nearby, so it's not surprising. Go to Beast Herd's turn 4. You can see my 2 Wildhorn units at the bottom are kind of just making their way towards the center of the table. My Minotaurs had the choice to either charge the Gargantula or the General. I think I'm going to go back some. Yeah, I think I could have... Oh, let's see. That's before combat. So the Gargantula overran. It might have been out of line of sight of my Minotaurs. Because see how far up it is? I think that may have been the case. So they charge the General. They can only just clip them. So I'll get 1 Strength 6 impact hit, and then I'll get 8 attacks on the guy. That should be enough. And if I don't kill him, I'm thinking I have a real good chance of breaking him. And if I break him, I'm going to pivot and then get a free charge into the flank of that Gargantula. So I like my odds here. And I get the Blackwing Totem up on them. And so I'm going to be going first. I kind of like all that. And I think this is after combat. Basically, I went in there and just couldn't do anything to the General. He did, I think, 3 wounds to me. So I've got like a charge, a flank, with a bonus flank, with a banner. And he did 3 wounds. I think I only ended up winning by like 1 and a charge. I won by 2. And he's like 7 rerollable. He sticks. He reforms. If you look at the top, I was still unable to break that unit. I think they had 1 person more than he needed to be steadfast. And meanwhile, my BSB has 2 wounds on him now, but I think he killed that character, so he's now fairly safe. So that's interesting. That unit is holding out a lot longer than I thought it would. Now it's going to be scary, though, because it's Orcs Goblins turn 5. He charges his Orc unit into the flank of my Minotaurs, and his Lord on a Wyvern into their rear, and his Generals in there, too. That's just a lot of abuse of the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs, they can put out some hurt, no doubt about it, but you beat him through static combat res, and if you're going to do it, this is the way you do it right here. Meanwhile, his Spider turns around, which I don't love. I don't need him forcing terror tests on my Wildhorn units and scaring me away from the middle of the board. Now, at this point of the game, I have to admit that I thought I had the scenario securely in hand. Um, what I what I wasn't realizing is that his Orc unit that just charged in, as well as his Boar unit, are actually not that far away from the center of the table, and my Minotaurs are all likelihood are not going to be there, and my other scoring unit's pretty far away, and it wasn't nearly in hand. Not nearly as much as I thought it was. There's this. Um, oh, I'm nervous. So the decision to make here is I get to swing first because I've got the Black Wing Totem up. One Minotaur. Well, the Minotaur on the far right has to go against the Orcs, and I've got three that have to go against. Yeah, three have to go against the Wyvern, and I think one just isn't doing a whole lot. Except I think he does impact hits or something. I think he kills a Minotaur, and so all my Minotaurs get to swing. Anyway, so it was kind of interesting. Everybody who could went on the Wyvern guy. That's 15 attacks, rerolling to hit strength 5, and they kill him. So they kill him before he gets to attack, which is really nice because he would have killed 2 Minotaurs easily right there. I might have done 1 wound to his general, so I did 1 or none, and I killed some Orcs. He still won combat by a bunch. I broke and actually got away. There we go. I had 4 guys left. I had 3 guys left. I think I failed some dangerous terrain because I had to take dangerous terrain for the spider and then for that impassable terrain. Yeah, I think I lost 2 guys after I fled. I had 4 guys left, which is unfortunate because if I had 3 guys left, I'd be rallying on a 7. I think they're leadership 7. So with only 2 guys left, I'm rallying on a 4. And unlike his spider rider in the lower left corner, 4 for me is not that easy to get. Overall, though, I can't complain too much. This game's really fun. It's really dicey, So overall, the board looks like this. Yeah, I'll have a close-up in just a second. So my Chariot, I think, fled a charge a while ago and failed to rally, and now it failed to rally again. It's leadership 8. Come on, guys. And my Minotaurs, of course, didn't rally. And my General, I didn't have any charges that I loved, so I charged my General into the rear of his General. We're both pretty equivalent in terms of offense and defense, but I'll start with a charge and a rear. And if I can kill him or just break him from combat, he can charge the rear of that spider, which will keep the spider from causing terror tests on my Wildhorns. So I'm thinking kill the general, tie up the spider, call it a day. This unit tried to charge his boars. His boars are a real threat because they're standing near the center of the table. Really like the idea of getting the charge there. I didn't need an obnoxiously high roll, but they failed it. And after combat, my general does 1 wound to his general. His general does none to mine. I break him in combat but couldn't catch him. He is where you can see him. And then my general overruns into the rear of that Gargantula, which forces a panic test on his boar unit on the left. And they fail their panic and run, so that's kind of nice. And it's Orc and Goblin turn 6. So he moves his Orc unit up towards within 6 inches of the middle of the board, and his Boar unit up within 6 inches of the middle of the board. So now he's got 2 scoring units. If I can get 2 scoring units there, then neither one of us get the scenario objectives. Or if I can charge his Boar riders with my unit on the right and make that charge, which actually isn't much because I'm movement 5. If I make the charge and I can keep my unit in the middle where they are, then it's 2 to 2. But if I break him in the charge, even if I don't catch him, he'll be fleeing, going away. Then I'll have 2 to his 1. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Is I really need to make that charge on the right. And one thing you couldn't see from that previous picture is, so I charged the rear of his spider, and then his battle standard bearer charged my rear. Not positive why he did it, unless he's just hoping he might be thinking that his BSB has a one use only 1-up armor save. He's probably thinking that he is safe from being killed, and we'll both have a charge. I'll have a rear, he'll have a flank and a banner, so he can keep everybody from breaking or whatever. So we're going to get into a challenge. I'm going to show a challenge so that I don't have both these guys fighting me. And I have a -1 to hit up. We go to combat, and despite my -1 to hit, he does 2 wounds to my general. Darn it. Luckily, I stick. Now, I forgot to take pictures at the beginning of the next turn. So everything I said was going on. This unit charged into his boars, and I made the charge. But then I decided I'll charge my other unit into his general. So what I'm thinking is, if his general does every attack with him and his boar, if he kills and wounds all of them, he's going to win, but I'm going to be steadfast on a 9. Because I'm dumb, it's not a 9 rerollable. Like, I should have marched my BSB up. But by doing that, I have a chance of killing his general, and in the magic phase, I can throw Blooded Horn on them against his general, which I'm hoping he wants to stop that, which gives me a better chance of getting Blooded Horn off on this unit on the right, which may give them a better chance of killing the boars. Whatever happened, I think he let it go off on the unit against the general because he just wasn't worried about it. And so at the end of the day, I charged the general. I'm steadfast on a 9. Oh no, I'm in there. My BSB charged his BSB. So we're in a challenge with my general and his BSB, but I'm going to win combat by a bunch. Well, at the end of the day, we all survived the challenge. Everybody sticks in combat. It was a moot point. So my Wildhorns were on a 9 rerollable, and if I stick there, then I've got 2 units within 6 inches of the board. My opponent has 1, and everything's good. And I had a chance of killing his general. I don't kill the general. I lose combat. I fail a 9 rerollable. I break, and now nobody gets a scenario objective points. Like, dang it! All I had to do was stand still, and I would. Anyway, game ended up being a 12-8 to me. And when I was kicking myself, that could have been a 15-5 to me if I just would have stood still. Oh, that hurts. That was a fun game. That was a really, really fun game. My Minotaurs never rallied, and they were at 25% and fleeing, so I gave up full points for them. My Chariot ran off the board. His Boar Riders rallied there on the left. So I'm okay with a 12-8. It's not as good as I'd hoped, but it's okay. You can do well in a tournament with your first game, keeping you around middle of the pack. So, lessons learned on this one. I really should have chosen to go first. I think if you know that your opponent's going to deploy in such ways to protect against your ambushers, then you don't want to ambush turn 1 anyway. You want to ambush on turn 2. Now, if my opponent goes first, my Dark Rain puts him at -2 to hit me on the first turn, and if I go first, let me think. Yeah, if I go first, he's only going to be at -1 to hit me. I don't know. I should have gone first, given that extra +1 to hit me. That way, his guys would have been tied up for 2 turns, waiting to see what my ambushers do. And I think, especially with the way he deployed with all his heavy hitters, like a lot of them facing outward, I could have been really aggressive with my troops and not had too much to worry about. So I think that was a real mistake. And then at the end, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I mean, even a 9 rerollable can fail. I think it fails 5% of the time, I think. And it's just hard for me to do that. I'm thinking I've got a 95% chance of just doing some really good things. Oh, well. Anyway, that's it for game 1. Hope you enjoyed it.